Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Forehand Disc Golf. I got something super special for you today. It's my in the bag. This is my early 2024 in the bag. I'm running with the Dynamic Discs Combat Sniper. I just want to show you what I'm working with here early in the year, and you'll see as we go through how it progresses, what changes, and if you have any recommendations, put them in the comments or send them via mail to me. All right, we'll start off with putting approaches. This top pocket holds my putters. I've got the two zero hard Macanas. I've been putting with Macanas for years. I don't see anybody else doing it. I'm not weird, you're weird. So I've got the girls call them the bananas, but Macana, if you can see them and find them, to me, they're not as deep as a dagger and they're not as low profile as something like a Judge. I like the flight of a Judge, but for my hand, the Macana just works better because I have a push putt, so I want something with glide that's gonna just hold up there and dive into the basket with a little bit of stability. And that's why I go with the zero hard Macanas. Next up, we have the Berg or the B-Org. This is the Castplast K1 line Berg. I'm not throwing this over 250 feet, but if I've got a straight shot or I'm just doing a quick approach because I threw into some trees, which I do a lot, I'll use this. This gets used about as much as my putters do. I love this disc, but it's really cool. And I don't care what anybody says. Next up, I love throwing beat up putters. This one I'm seasoning in, but this is the classic blend Moonshine EMAC Judge, okay? This one is still fairly new, but I can still throw it on hyzer and know it's gonna pop up, ride forward. It might even fade a little bit if I throw it with just enough touch. Otherwise, I can trust it to turn over. It will wobble just because I'm not very good at it, but it'll ride straight and go where I need it to. Anything less than about 220 feet, I feel really comfortable throwing that on hyzer. Then I have this really cool puddle top Hybrid X Suspect. It's pretty overstable in comparison to my other Suspects, but that puddle top keeps it from riding in the wind super far right or turning over and going to the left. I don't know if there's any science behind that. You can tell me what that means, but I love this disc. I can trust it more than my other approaches, besides my next one, to go where I want it to go. And I just really like the Suspect. I like the feel of it. I do think, to me, it's my favorite zone alternative that I've gotten to try. All right, next up, I have the kind of the utility approach disc, and that's the Anvil. It's flat, it skips, it's overstable, it's yellow. I like it a lot. All right, then we get into the bag, and another one of the Suspects comes in. I'm trying this out right now, and I'm kind of trying to decide between these two which one's gonna stay, because they have similar flights. This is slightly more overstable and more durable, so it might stay a little bit longer. I like to throw it on a hyzer, let it ride, and then fall. But this is a Fusion Suspect. It's really old, and it feels really cool. This old Fusion plastic's pretty cool. And then I have a Royal Sense Moonshine Savior, which came in the most recent Royal box from Latitude 64. A lot more straight, doesn't die as much, but still can hold up in the wind better than like my Judge can. So this will come in. Also, I feel like I can really throw this pretty far, even on a slight hyzer flip. So Royal Sense Savior, I'm thinking this is gonna make the bag. Let's move on to the Fairway Drivers. I don't have any mid-ranges. Some of you might say those are mid-ranges. I don't, they're approach discs. So let's start with the 7-speeds. The most unstable one that I have is the Royal Brave prototype. It's pretty understable. I don't know what the numbers are actually gonna be on this, but it has a lot of turn, and I can throw it anywhere from like 240 to 320, knowing I can throw it on hyzer and let it ride. I've accidentally thrown this disc very far, I'll just say that. but if I turn on it too much, it might turn into a roller. So on turnover shots, I like it, but it's not my go-to. If it's for a turnover shot, I'm gonna go with the Lucid X Moonshine Maverick with Zach Melton's face on it, of course. And that's because I can throw it with some torque on a hyzer, watch it turn, and just ride straight, maybe even with a little bit of fade. This has more fade. This plastic makes it even more overstable, but it's also really nice to throw it flat, watch it turn to the left and die straight. Really cool disc. They do belong in a bag together. Then if I need something with more stability, I have this. It's one of my go-tos. It was a go-to when I was throwing backhand. It's a go-to for me now that I can't, and I'm throwing forehands. The Gold Line Explorer, it's straight. It has a little bit of fade at the end, so I can actually throw it out flat. It has just the slightest bit of turn, and then it comes back. It has one of the most predictable flights of anything in my bag, and I love this. I'm calling it now. I think this is gonna have my next ace. Then my only 8-speed in the bag is a Stag. This is new to the bag. This is a newer one. It's one of the Hand-Eye VIP Stags. Really like this disc. It's a lot of fun to throw. You can throw it on a little bit of hyzer, let it ride up, go, and then has a lot of fade. This is more overstable than my VIP X Stag was. So I'm getting used to it. Still really like it, but it still goes quite a bit farther than my Explorer. Let's go to my 9 speeds. I carried quite a few, but the first one's my roller disc. This is the Fusion X Vandal. Throw it on an angle, let it ride, let it roll. I've seen the pros do it. I can't throw rollers like they can, but I can throw a Fusion X Vandal. So, all right. Next up, we've got the 3 Felons. We have I always call it my Flippy Felon. It's Flippy for a Felon. It's board flat, but I can throw it out even on a little bit of hyzer angle. It'll flip, go straight, still have the integrity to come back or fight the wind. So love that disc. Next up, we have the Saki Bomb Prototype Fusion Supreme Felon. It's all of those words, you can move them around, and that gives you this. It's quite a bit more overstable than my Flippy Felon, but it still likes to go straight, die at the end. The Supreme plastic feels incredible, and highly recommend if you're used to just like an ESP Raptor or not a super overstable Firebird. See if you can find these. They go a little bit farther, I think. Then we have this kind of domey Chameleon Lucid Felon, super overstable, silly overstable. This is coming out to do skip shots, throw it on angle. I use it for thumbers. Just really fun utility disc. It's newer to the bag, but I really like it so far. So those are my 3 Felons. Next up, we're gonna move to my 10 speeds, which I'm gonna call hybrid drivers. My most overstable one is the First Run Lucid Criminal. Honestly, with that super beefy Felon, I don't know if this is gonna stay in the bag because this is what I was liking to throw for thumbers. I do like that it has a deeper rim, so you can really dig into it. Or on tomahawks, you can really throw those well with this. But it's a really cool disc, super overstable, gets a little bit more distance than my Felons. That's why it stays in the bag. I can't take it out just yet. Then I have my VIP Moonshine Orbit Northman. It's pretty understable in comparison to anything that I've shown you in the 9-speed, really in the 9 speeds, but it'll flip up, ride left, but it'll still come back right at the end if I put the right touch on it. It doesn't just turn into a roller though, which is why it's staying in the bag. I use this a lot. There's a lot of holes that I use this on because I know I can throw it off to the right, let it ride back. It's a sweet disc. Find you one. Next up, let's move to the big boys, the distance drivers. So I carry 3 Graces. These are my favorite discs in the bag, but real quick, this is my Grpl, my gray-purple Grpl Grace. Love this disc. This is the one that I've had the longest. It still just goes straight with a little bit more left turn and then comes back. This is my flattest Grace, so I really feel comfortable throwing it. Honestly, I think I'll throw this more than any in a tight pinch because my other Graces just have a little bit different flight, but Love this one. Then I've got the Bomber Grace. This is the one I can throw the farthest, but that also means it's gonna go the farthest left before it just kind of dies out and has some integrity at the end. But this is the one that I've been able to throw the farthest and the most consistently over long distances, and it can go farther than just about anything else in my bag. So that's this one. And then this Grace is probably my favorite because of how purdy it is. It's got the sweet swirls in it, and then the rim is darker than the rest. But this is my most overstable Grace. It's also got the closest thing to a pop top of any Grace that I've been able to hold. So really love this thing. Pretty overstable, but not nearly as much as the discs I'll show you next. So right now I only have one Raider in the bag. The Graces have kind of filled that slot, and but nothing can really replace this. This is my Super Domey pop top Raider. It's a Lucid X Chameleon Raider. It's pretty to look at, it's pretty to watch fly. If you throw it on the right angle with this amount of dome and it catches the air, this can probably go farther than a lot of discs, but it turns into a Rive at the end. So it's like a Raider and a Rive put together. It's close to a Defender, but with quite a bit more glide. Really like this. I have a few of these, and they'll keep being put in I'll keep putting them in the bag. Next up is the Bomber disc in the bag, the Royal Grand Strive prototype. This has my very first throw that I've thrown over 500 feet, and I have someone who can attest. They won't be able to see you until you get over here, Avi. Did you see me throw this over 500 feet?
Yes.
Okay, she saw it.
It's even written on the back.
It is. Okay, they can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you. But anyway, this is the disc I'm looking forward to learning the most during this season, because I've had it be a little touchy, and so it's my fault, but it's turned over into some extreme rollers, so I'm just trying to crush it. But if I can learn how to throw this, keep it under control, I've never seen anything go as fast and forward as this disc has. So Strive, I'm gonna be very careful just because I love it so much. Lastly in the bag, I have my Rives. This Rive is the least stable. This is the most overstable. Someone's hurt this disc and it's passed, so it just wants to. This Orbit Tristan Tanner Rive is so overstable. I don't have to have an enforcer in my bag. I don't have to have a stiletto in my bag. I have this because it fights the wind. I've never seen it turn over, and for some reason, it doesn't matter how much I put on it, it still comes back. This is a really cool disc. If you can find this and you're just like a big arm and you're just like, oh, latitude doesn't make anything, this will do it. Find some of these, silly people. And then this Rive is the my most trusted, just get it straight, throw it out, have that 3.5 fade at the end. So that's what I have in the bag. All right, thank you all for watching so much as we go through the bag. The bag itself, I have a towel, I have a grabby thing for grabbing discs out of trees. It has pockets. And really excited to use this bag throughout the season. If you have any questions on any of the discs or any recommendations, put them in the comments below, because I'm gonna be making a lot of changes throughout the year to the bag, trying out different discs. And also we're gonna be making in the bags for everyone else in the family. So be looking for those to drop soon. Thank y'all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of Forehand Disc Golf.